Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a makeup then and now. I'm going to be showing you guys what I would consider my past makeup mistakes and my makeup don'ts versus how I have evolved my makeup routine and my makeup application and what my makeup looks like now. Although you guys see that all the time, I thought it would still be fun to do a comparison, kind of reminisce and go down memory lane of how I used to do my makeup then versus now. I really hope that you guys enjoy seeing this video. I am very excited to jump on into this. So if you want to see my makeup then versus my makeup now, make sure to keep on watching. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. I'm going to be starting off with eyebrows because I feel like everyone went through a bad eyebrow phase. When we all first started doing our eyebrows, let's be honest, we had no idea what we were doing. But not only that, the makeup trends for eyebrows have also changed a lot. I used to do my eyebrows, first of all, very dark. I would use a shade that was too dark for me because I thought it was the thing to have a very bold brow. And just like a lot of us, I would kind of block off my brow in the front here instead of kind of feathering it out nicely and making it look natural. And I actually still have the pencil that I used to use that was too dark on me, and that is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer in the shade Dark Brunette. I've kind of learned to stray away from anything on my eyebrows that says dark or deep. It's just always too dark for me. I'm just going to do like a pretty harsh brow. I guess I could try to insert some pictures as well if I have any from like these makeup moments, but here are some pictures of my eyebrows when I was using this pencil. I think it was like my first year of college. I mean, I think you guys can see already that not only is this dark, but it's like a really strong, cool gray undertone that might be better for someone with black hair. And then when it came to the front of my brows, I would try to draw hair-like strokes, but it would kind of just get like a little bit of a smudgy block mess here. Oh man, that looks about right. For my now side, my brows have definitely evolved to be more natural. I'm using the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Chocolate, which is just a little bit more of a true neutral, slightly warm brown that matches my hair a little bit better. And I honestly kind of do a similar technique where I start off by outlining both the bottom and the top of my brow, but it just doesn't look as harsh because again, the color matches me a bit better. And then when it comes to the front, you guys will see I kind of do a lot less product in the front of my brow. And then in the front here, just with really light pressure, just feathering on a little bit of color and kind of going more into my brow instead of up. One thing that I never did back then in the brows was also use a brow powder in combination. Sometimes I would use the Anastasia one, but also I have that in dark brown. So it was just going along way too dark with my brows here. But you guys know I love my Profusion brow powder. This middle shade is just like the perfect neutral brown. Almost has a little bit of an olive undertone, which I kind of like in a neutral brown. And I'm just going to fluff this right on top of the brow pencil, just giving my brows a little bit more dimension, a little bit more of that natural fluff opposed to that harsh Sharpie looking brow. Lastly, for the brows, I'm going to go ahead and carve them out. I used to use a concealer that was way too light, and I also would put way too much, so you could just kind of see that line from the concealer. So I'm gonna use the ColourPop No Filter Concealer, which is a great concealer, but this is in the shade Fair 08. And literally when I would carve out my brow, I would literally go like this. And it's just a lot of product to work with at one time. It made a mess. My eyebrows always looked smudgy and it was just never the best look. At least now I know it's not the best look. For my now side, I'm using the same ColourPop No Filter Concealer, but I'm taking it on the back of my hand, and this is in the shade Light 18. So this should match my skin tone a lot closer. And I'm going to dip the brush first in the back of my hand to pick up some of the product. It's just like a natural way to clean them up. For my eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the ColourPop Nude Mood palette. I'm going to use the same palette on both sides of my eye while showing you the different techniques on each eye. I would say the biggest thing that I did differently was not utilizing my lid space and not knowing how to fake a larger lid space. I kind of thought that the crease I had was what I had to use and the lid space that I had was all I had to work with. If you guys could see, when I kind of relax my face and look forward, my eyes are hooded. So I honestly thought just like this little area right here was all I had for the lid, and that I had to put my crease shade like directly in that crease of your eye where you could feel your eye going in a little bit. So I'm going to take this shade, but just literally directly focus it right in the socket of my eye where the crease goes in, and just moving the brush back and forth in windshield wiper motions, just back and forth, nothing circular or nothing else to blend it out. And I am using pretty harsh pressure, not relaxing my wrist, because I never used to do that. Whereas on this side now, I really like to take the transition shade almost as high up as my brow bone and fluff it out. I still do windshield wiper motions, but I make sure my wrist is more relaxed, and I also switch back and forth between windshield wiper and circular motions. But overall, having just that more relaxed wrist is key when it comes to blending shades. And I stopped being afraid to take color high up towards my brow bone, because I realized this is how I'm ultimately going to get the look of more lid space and a larger eye. Once I have that shade on, now is when I'm going to go in the actual socket of my crease and darken up the color there. Deepening up the outer corner with the deep chocolate shade in this palette. Then I would literally think my outer V was just this little tiny area right here. And I'm going to put the color in there like an actual V shape. Like just down here from the lid to right in the socket of my crease. That is where I thought my outer V area could only be. I was taking it very literal when they said crease and outer V. It was like very, very literal. But as you guys can see, this does absolutely nothing at opening up my eye or really adding a ton of definition. Whereas here, I'm going to take the outer V almost like up into my fake crease here, as you guys can see, and really blend it and fluff it out, almost going up into the crease as a whole, and making sure those two shades blend seamlessly into one. On my now side, I'm going to go in with the same concealer on a little brush and just carve out the front of my lid to, again, just enhance that, make that appear larger and bigger, because I want to utilize pretty much the whole front half of my eye for lid space now. Now I'm just touching up the outer corner now that I have my lid drawn on. For the lid, I'm going to take the light shimmery shade in this palette here. And on my now side, I'm just going to pop it on right on top of that concealer, making sure to cover the whole entire area that I carved out for my lid. And then on my then side, again, just taking my lid space very literal and just applying it down here where I thought I always only had a little tiny amount of lid space. There is the eyeshadow for now. I am not even trying to like dull it down, you guys. This is exactly how I used to wear my eyeshadow. And I just feel like there's such a difference, especially seeing me from different angles. But especially when I look down, there is no denying the amount of lid space that I have learned how to create myself, and it just makes the eyes look so much bigger and brighter, and the makeup look so much more intense. Now I'm going to be moving on to the face. When it comes to priming the skin, I used to just use the Smashbox primer water. I kind of thought that this was going to do everything that I wanted it to do in the sense of smoothing, pore filling. I don't know why I used to think that, but I would just use this. Compared to now, you guys know I like to layer up my primers. I do always still like to start off with a spray. Now I just prefer MAC Fix Plus. And then I did eventually start to go in with some sort of actual primer, whether it was a silicone or a mattifying primer or a hydrating primer, just to really address the skin's needs more and how I wanted my skin to look. For today, of course, I'm just going to use my Poreless Putty because I find that my skin concerns are just a little bit of texture and some pores, and I want my skin to look hydrated, and this gives me all of those. So I'm just going to do the Poreless Putty on this side of my face. When it came to foundation, I always would do a couple of mistakes. So the first thing that I would do, I would say, is always wear it a little bit too dark and orangey. Even if it wasn't too dark on a scale of light to dark, the undertone was always off. I never knew about what undertone was best for my skin. I would say now I know that I am a pretty solid neutral undertone, sometimes leaning a little bit warm, and I can pull off slightly warm foundations. And then the second mistake was that I would always use a ton of foundation. I kind of never got the concept of less is more because I wanted super full coverage, very, very mattifying. I used to have a lot of acne, so I think that is why. So I actually used to use this foundation right here. Like this video if you guys use this in like middle school or high school. And I would use this in like medium 20, which I'm never a medium in any foundation. I always wear light or sometimes even fair to light in the winter months. Of course, since my makeup taste has evolved, I don't have anything this dark. The darkest foundation that I own is 130 in the Maybelline Superstay, which still honestly isn't that bad. This is my summer shade, but I think to just try to make it a little bit more orangey, I'm going to mix in some of this LA Girl concealer that I have that has a really strong orangey undertone to it. Honestly, I don't think that I'm going to get that same Dream Matte Mousse orange that we all used to wear, but I'm going to try my best just to make the foundation not exactly perfect for my skin tone today. To apply this, I'm going to use a foundation brush, which I used to use all the time here on my channel. I stopped using brushes because I just like the more natural finish with the sponge, and the brushes tend to soak up so much of the foundation. But I'm just going to try to make this a little orangey looking, even though, like I said, I don't think anything I own comes remotely close to Dream Matte Mousse. And when I say I wore a lot of foundation, I wore a lot of foundation, like 2 full layers all over the face, because I really thought that was just how to get full coverage and how the foundation and my skin would look the best. On my now side, I'm going to use Maybelline 120 foundation, which is starting to match me a little bit better as my tan fades, but I'm still just gonna take the tiniest bit of 130 to darken up the foundation just a little bit. And on this side of my face, I'm using a sponge with a lot less of the foundation. Here's a little up close comparison of the skin for you so you guys can see. This side I just feel like looks so heavy. I feel the makeup on my skin. It does not feel like it is settling into the skin at all. Like becoming one with my skin, I guess you could say. It's definitely settling into my lines, whereas on this side I feel like it just gives so much more of a natural look. I'm still getting the amount of coverage that I want, but it looks nice and natural. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it is about to right now. I'm going to go back in with my ColourPop No Filter concealer for under my eyes. Now again, this is a really great concealer, but this Fair 08 shade is almost like stark white on me. I didn't realize that you actually need something that's going to counteract the blueness or the purple, depending on the undertones of your skin, to really do anything, because this is going to brighten my under eye, but the darkness is still going to peek through because there's no strong peach undertones or pink undertones in here to really cancel anything out. And I would do the good old triangle, you guys. And on my now side, again, I'm going to use the same ColourPop concealer, but in the shade Light 18. And I still like to do a little bit of that triangle action, but I kind of like to do more like a little swoop. So I like to really focus the concealer on this inner corner. That is where we need the most coverage. That's really going to make the look more clean and awake than anything. And then I do like to hit my whole under eye, but I like to kind of go just like up this way. And this is going to be more lifting. If I do want a little bit of highlight, I just take it down maybe like that far. I'll draw a couple of lines. And then also something I never used to do was highlight down the nose. Oh, I actually forgot that I also used to take my highlighter up on my forehead like this, which I don't do that anymore because I felt like it was emphasizing my forehead. And I also used to do the chin as well. I did not realize my camera stopped recording and I moved on to powder. But the only thing that you guys really missed is just saying I used to use so much powder on this side, and I just packed like a ton of powder on this side of my face. Whereas now I really just like to lightly go in and dab the powder and really spread it out and just press it into the skin until it's like just set enough. I find that there's really no need to pack so much powder on the face. Let's talk about our old friend contouring. I have not contoured in years now, and I used to think it was like so flattering, but looking back at some of my videos where I used to just contour and not really bronze, or bronze using a contour shade, I was like, what was I thinking? So I'm going to use my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. This is what I would use to bronze slash contour. And I'm going to place this like literally fish face right in that cheekbone. And then I would also take it slightly up the sides of my temple, but I really would never put anything on my forehead, just literally right in my cheekbone, and that's it. I just feel I could get a more flattering look just by bronzing the skin. So I'm gonna use my e.l.f. bronzer in the shade Perpetually Tan, a beautiful, beautiful warm bronzer. You guys can totally see the difference in the shades of these bronzers right here. And I'm going to take this just on a fluffy duo fiber brush and just fluffing this on the cheeks. On areas that I do actually want to contour, like my nose, I'm just going to use the same bronzer for the cohesive feel. And I never used to contour my nose, so I'm not going to do it to the left side of my nose. It's so hard not to go on the other side of my nose out of habit. My hand wants to do the same thing on the other side. The only blush mistake that I used to make was honestly just not wearing any. I thought blush was not my friend. I used to have a lot of redness in my skin, so when I was able to cover that up with foundation, I didn't want to bring that look back. I didn't want blush to make my skin look red, or I was scared it was going to look like my skin had acne, which was such a weird thought, but I feel like a lot of people feel that when they have redness to their skin. But now I like some color to the cheek, so I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Face Duo in the shade Lychee. Or is it Lychee? I literally looked up how to say it the other day and I don't remember. I'm not going to be shy of the blush though. I like to apply it on the apple of my cheek, going back up with the bronzer. Once I introduced highlighter into my routine, let's just say I went a little bit overboard and this was my best friend. Definitely let me know if you guys remember the Makeup Forever sculpting duos. This one is in number 1, and I would just, oh my gosh, I would wear so much of this and kind of leave it a little bit stripey on the skin. I would literally only do my cheekbone and not even consider like my nose or my cupid's bow or my forehead or anything like that. I would just stripe on this icy highlighter. And I know this looks crazy, but I was crazy. Actually, I did wear highlighter on my nose, but like that ball part of my nose right here, which now I know makes the front of my nose look so much bigger. I would say now, although I do like my highlighter bright, I like something with a little bit less of that like pinky white undertone and something a little bit more champagne, like a light gold shade. So I'm going to use this one in this e.l.f. Face Duo. This one is in the shade White Peach. First focusing this at the tops of my cheekbones and then bringing it down. But I don't want the highlighter to be my whole entire cheek. As much as I love to glow, again, I just feel like a lot of the time with these things, less is more. It just gives a prettier look to the skin compared to that. Taking the highlighter down the center of the nose, it might look a little bit weird because I'm just trying to keep it on one half, but this just elongates the nose more, especially for someone like me who wants their nose to look smaller. Finishing up my under eye, I never wore any eyeshadow under my eye, so I'm just going to pop on my lower lash mascara on my then side. And then to highlight the inner corner on my then side, I'm going for a super stark white inner corner. I just always loved a very bright white, which honestly doesn't look the worst, but I just like to do something a little bit different now. I actually like to match it to my face highlighter or use the same shade that's on my lid. Either one I find works, but it's just a little bit more of a subtle highlight that tends to match the look even better. Nowadays, I could never forget about my lower lash line eyeshadow, so I'm just gonna take some of those same browns that I used and just smudge them under my eye. Lastly, when it comes to my lips, back then my style was definitely different when it came to lipstick. I'm going to be using two MAC lipsticks that I used to wear all of the time. I never used to wear a lip liner, and I liked more cool tone pinks on my lips. These are both expired back in like 2015. I don't recommend doing that, but I keep these kinds of things for videos like this. But these are the type of lip shades that I used to wear. If you guys can see, very cool tone, mauve tones, no lip liner, just going straight in with the lipstick. And then I always used to mix these shades together. So topping it off with a little bit of Cream Cup, which is even more of a pinky shade. Now I pretty much always go in with a lip liner, and you guys know I like my more peachy tones, warm tones on my lips. So I'm going to start off by lining with Haus Laboratories Endpoint. Finishing off with one of my favorites, Wet n Wild Bare It All, just again, another deep peachy nude shade. Last but not least, I am just going to spray my whole face with some Fix Plus because I've always used some type of finishing spray when my makeup's done. Alright you guys, so that is going to complete this video. Here is my makeup then versus my makeup now. This side is not horrible by any means, but you know, I think there's definitely been a glow up. I think I used to try to do my makeup how I used to see other people doing their makeup, not realizing that not all of the same things look the same on everyone. And it took me a long time to do my makeup for myself and figure out what works for me, because we don't all look the same here. We're all unique and beautiful in our own ways. This was so much fun to film. It was so interesting to kind of revisit these makeup techniques that I used to use in the past. I hope you guys can see the difference. I mean, I definitely can. I feel like the colors and the shades and the techniques now are just so much more complementary on my personal skin tone and the shape of my face and the shape of my eyes. I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing my makeup then and now, and I hope you enjoyed spending time with me today. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel before you leave. I would love to have you guys here as part of my little YouTube fam. If you don't want to miss out on any of my future videos, click that notification bell down below and you'll get notified every single time that I upload a new video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys!